Hello and a good evening, and welcome from Melton Mowbray, where we have now got the sunshine after weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of rain. And I am so excited and honored and thrilled to be in the company of Ola again. And I know who's listening to this channel or get so much from Ola. So we were having this kind of like chat, and I had all planned what I was going to say, and then I listened to Ola, and then it's just like, wow. And I know I speak on behalf of everyone, Ola, that come and listen to you. We get so much from you. So welcome, Ola. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, and thank you so much for having me again. Honestly, such a pleasure, and I can't express enough. It's gonna make me emotional this time again. All the feedback, these amazing comments, and sort of private correspondence that I've received as well following our last chat. So we were just speaking just before that. Probably, maybe we cannot match that, but we will try, right?
We will do our best. And I think when I listen and when I talk to you, I'm writing notes, and then it's like me and you just having this conversation via the internet, and I forget people listening. So yeah, I'm really touched that I had some messages too, and I'm really, really touched. So we're going to do a talk organically because I reached out to Ola, and I fell for the new age for cul-de-sac, should I say, where I really bought all the books and listened to it and preached it. And then bit by bit realized it was just a mistruth or an illusion. I don't know the right word. So I asked Ola to come along and just chat and answer some questions. But as usual, we're just going to go with the flow. One thing I want to mention right from the start, which has been a real eye-opening for me, is our daughter, Emma, a week ago gave birth to this most beautiful, beautiful little girl. And Emma is naturally breastfeeding the baby. So we've had the conversations. And then it was like a realization and dawning that this little baby is just been born, and she knows exactly what she needs to do to help her mum produce the milk. And it got me thinking, like, if a baby can come into this world within hours and know exactly what to do, that just goes to prove these little babies that have been born, well, all babies know so much. But somehow, I don't know why, but we just inflict our opinions on what the world is. And I really want to get back to the truth. So the first question for you, Ola, is what was it like here before the
Oh,
matrix or the illusion?
before. Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations to
Thank
your
you.
daughter and to you on the beautiful granddaughter, and absolutely, such a great observation. Remember that children as well, they have the ability to swim. They know how to swim since birth, and it's us that make them unlearn that, and it's us that make them be scared of water. So there's a lot that comes that we come with, that we ourselves undo, and we ourselves sort of do the service of conditioning, right, ourselves, and socializing in a certain context, which changes a lot of that original wisdom that we just naturally come with. And this is amongst other things what happened with alchemy. We stepped away, of course, the alchemy and the notion of nature of a woman, and the width of the spectrum of where alchemy is able to touch, and what alchemy is capable, or what a woman was capable, and what woman's true magic, if you like, is still, that has just somehow kind of disappeared, right, over time. And this is a very good question. What was here before the matrix? I think that I'm not sure, and I apologize if I'm going to repeat myself, but I'm not sure if I ever mentioned here about the sort of timelines, as in how we need to be, because of course I talk about the alchemy a lot, but I might have not placed it in any context here, which I think should be done. So you see, alchemy, I don't want anybody to be looking at the feminine alchemy. That's a term that, for all I know, I might have come up with. That's just the probably optimal translation and sort of container for what we discuss. But effectively, what we're talking about is the full capacity of a woman's body. This is not a notion. This is not a concept. This is not a philosophy any more than what happens to a woman every month or what happens to a woman when she gives birth. This is our nature. And this is the origin. And this is the first sort of, not even a tradition, just wisdom around this those abilities that predates everything. That goes back to the original times when, and of course, you know, we're not talking about any evolution and Darwin, but alchemy, feminine alchemy, the capacity, the spectrum, the wide spectrum of capacity of a woman's body, spiritual body, emotional body, and those sort of different layers that are commingled and they interact, and that's the effect, the alchemical effects, which are so natural for us, that predates everything. So the very often you might hear about shamanism, that shamanism was the first original tradition. No, it was not. Shamanism morphed out of feminine alchemy. Shamanism is created based on alchemical teachings. So if you like to put a timeline around things, we have the alchemy, we have the sort of beginnings and evolution of shamanism, and then we have sort of other things coming in. This matrix, or should we say, in a context of the dome and the zodiac, the firmament, the mechanism, you know very well that we cannot with 100% certainty say anything, but we are dating it given the ancient text, the ancient account of about when the moon is showing up and when the reverence of Venus is being terminated around 10 to 12,000 years ago. So it's recent. It's fairly recent. It's very recent in the shape and in the context of what we know today. This is one of the reasons why astrology is pretty much dated to about 5000 BC. So that's fairly recent as well. So you see, it wouldn't be, and of course, Vedic astrology dates back to about 10,000, which is obviously in line with when the firmament shows up and when all those things are put in place. When the moon shows up, there are scripture that talk about the moon being fashioned and placed upon the sky, and of course, the Bible talks about it as well, and other texts as well. But you have to remember always that many of those texts have been tampered with. So it's a very fine line between reading those texts, these accounts, and it's almost like you kind of have to know what you're looking at, and you almost have to know the truth before you even start reading those texts, because they have been tampered with. There is a certain narrative that's been pushed, and of course there must be artifacts, there must be scripture that are supporting the narrative. I always say the history is written by the victors, not by the losers. So it looks in a certain way to, certain things have been removed, certain things have been misinterpreted, they have been on purpose mistranslated, just like every ancient text actually starts, whether that's the Bible, whether that's the in the Kabbalistic tradition, whether that's even in the Vedic text, actually the translation is misinterpreted or mistranslated. It is on purpose. The error is sort of injected on purpose, because it is talking about feminine origins. It is talking about creation being feminine, not masculine.
Wow.
So what do we know, right?
Yeah. Do you look at right, my next question is, looking back, no, not looking back, do you feel that the for the better word, let's just call it the matrix, the veil or the dome, whatever. Do you think it's beginning to lose its control?
Yes, it is. And we know that that is the whole point of the end of the world. The end of the world, in many cultures and in many prophecies, right? Whether you look into the apocalypse, whether you look into the, well, you know, here I am in Norway, Norse mythology, Ragnarok. I always talk about it. Ragnarok, the true meaning, the meaning from the Old Norse translation. Ragnarok is the doom of the gods. And they add the humans there as well, the doom of the humans and the gods. No, it's the doom of the gods. It is the end of the world of the gods, as in the false gods. False gods meaning who? Meaning the advanced civilization, right? The Anunnaki, the ones that we know as Anunnaki, the ones that we know as reptiles, Draco, etc. Right? These are the gods, and they show up in variety of geographies. So Ragnarok, the doom of the gods. In the apocalypse, I talk about it a lot of times. In the apocalypse, we have the great sign in the sky, which has already happened. That's the 2017 autumn equinox, when the Virgin clothed in the sun, you probably, everybody knows about it now, the Virgin clothed in the sun with the crown of 12 stars upon her head and the moon under her feet. This is the most important part of that prophecy. This is the most important part of that description, which, mind you, it doesn't come from apocalypse. It's been captured into the apocalypse. It's been captured into these scriptures, but this predates those times. It is an ancient prophecy that talks about the times. Obviously, this description is a celestial event. We're talking the constellation Virgo. We're talking about certain planets being above her head, meaning in the constellation Leo, and the moon at her feet. This is a very specific celestial event that can be calculated, and that date is 2017, the fall equinox. And you see, in many churches, even I was in Poland earlier in April, and I was in Krakow. So in several churches, this is very common, but you have to have eyes to see. You will see the figures or the artwork, the pictures, the paintings of, well, of the Virgin, maybe Mary or whoever, a woman with 12 stars above her head and a moon, a crescent moon under her feet. This is the same picture, and it is so common. You have that in England, you have that in the States in churches, you have that in Poland, you have that everywhere. This is not a recent thing. This is a representation of very ancient prophecies, which talk specifically that there will come a time, and this is the celestial landscape for that, indicating specific time, when the moon will be at the feet of a woman. And you probably, people that are listening, you know what I talk about, the moon being the control mechanism for women, the moon being the key component of this matrix construct. So meaning the moon having control over the women for millennia. And what happens now? It's flipped. A woman takes the moon under her feet. What does that mean? It means that hegemony is over. It's game over. So why? It's not because the prophecy says that, because the prophecy is just a representation of what's happening in the current times. You see, this is the reason why I'm out here talking about alchemy. It is not a fashion. It is not the next best thing, right? This is literally what's happening to women right now, and it has been happening. The apocalypse says, and there is a little bit of it's been again tampered with a little bit, but it talks about a woman going to the desert. And mind you, right, when you think about other biblical descriptions, and not only the context of a desert and having some kind of revelation in the desert, going to the desert to fast 40 days in the desert, there's always this context of somebody going to the desert, and nobody's paying attention. What does that mean? This is not because there was a lot of deserts. This is because this whole notion of a journey to the desert, it is alchemical. It's an alchemical concept, or it's an alchemical tradition, where a woman, in order to sort of regain her alchemical and her inner strength, in order to heal, in order to, especially in the context of, you know, perhaps being exposed to a certain type of relationship, or whatever environment in which she sacrificed, in which she suffered, in which she was clearly not representing and not standing in her highest alchemical power, she needs to get back to herself. And that does not happen if she continues to engage in the same behaviors. So a woman going to the desert is an alchemical expression of the fact that a woman takes the time out to return to herself. So a woman takes the moon under her feet, and she goes to the desert to activate the alchemy. That happened to many of us. That's happened to many of those that are listening right now. Because you see, going to the desert, we're not talking obviously literally, we're talking about the period of time that could have been months, that could have been even years, where your life would have kind of fell apart, and you might have been seeking solitude, you might have been seeking isolation, you might have been just in your own world. Even if you had a partner at the time, there probably would have been an element of you sort of in some way taking a step back from that and really following that inner voice. And there's been so many women that I've spoken to that following 2017 or around 2017, there's been major changes in their life, perhaps a divorce, perhaps moving, any of the kind of significant things, or perhaps a woman kind of started her inner process, and that's what she recognized. It even, you know, that the same happened to me in 2017. I moved up here. I was living in the south of Norway for 5 years, and 2017 was exactly when I moved up here. So very, very significant time. And yes, the fact that the woman takes the moon under her feet, the moon is the key. Remember, the moon is the key component, the key tool of matrix control. So if the moon is being taken under the feet of a woman, the key component, the sort of the brain of the operation is deactivated. So absolutely, the domino is running right now. It is falling. You know, it's the house of cards.
It was so interesting. I had a light bulb moment, Ola. You know, with 2020, when we all had to rearrange our lives without mentioning any names. Would that be right? And what I felt was like, I took myself off for walks with my dog Maya. I took myself away from, you know, they said only an hour long walk. I was gone for 3 hours. And it was almost like stripped away work. I then started to really think, who am I? What do I want? Am I on the right wavelength as that? That to me was going into the desert.
Might as well be. You know, remember that we have been this whole notion of the end of the world and the 2017, right? It is a phenomena. It is a precedence, because in the history, since there has been the control by those races, since they have been present here, there's not been such an event whereby we would have been helped by certain cosmic cycles, which are literally sending energies that are highly supportive. This is the first time. This is why this is so important, and this is called the apocalypse. This is called the end of the world, because this has not happened. You know, we might have had all these witches 500 years ago or 1,000 years ago. We could have had Cathars, which we obviously did. We could have had the Mary Magdalene and Isis and those mystery schools and these priestesses back in the day being highly versed in alchemy and applying very, very high levels of wisdom, of that feminine wisdom, and literally, right? I mean, look at Jesus and the Immaculate Conception, right? I mean, this is an alchemical process. This is not to be laughed about or joked about, because I'm sorry, but that's just ignorance. You don't understand alchemy. We're talking about parthenogenesis here, right? So these women, Mary Magdalene, Mary Jacobi, Mary Salome, the mother of John the Baptist, all of them, they conceived in that way. Mary, by the way, is not a name, it's a title, it's an alchemical title. So all of them conceived in that way. They were very well versed, they were very, very well trained and exposed to the alchemical teachings, and yet, as you know, that did not quite turn the wave around, right? Well, Matrix continued, unlike now, because right now this is a phenomenal time, but we have to seize the opportunity, because it is down to us. It is a woman who takes the moon under her feet. Things are not happening by themselves. And New Age, when you think about that, right? New Age, since we mentioned that, New Age is really hijacking a lot of information and sort of confuses and twists and builds its own narrative. Most of all, you know, it sort of redirects women to be engaging in practices that totally disconnect them from alchemy. So none of that is happening. So this is a phenomenal time that unfortunately requires, well, fortunately, because who else if not us, right? It requires us to show up and to first and foremost even be aware that that's what's happening. But if you and we talked about it a little bit right before we started, that there's all the time some kind of next great event that's about to happen. It's the eclipse, it's the rapture, it's this, that, and the other, and people who even consider themselves awakened readily fall for everything, and there is zero responsibility afterwards, right? There's zero accountability, because nothing ever happens out of those situations. What does happen is harvesting of your energy and keeping your attention most of the time at moments of critical importance in the context of these cycles, of these cosmic cycles. Because what's happening right now since 2017, there is a certain alignment with the sun against the Milky Way galaxy center. That's where the black hole is, the womb of this cosmic space, right? So certain energies, the original cause of creation, the original energies which are active, they are designed to activate our DNA. They are being sent towards us, and the sun is acting like a portal. It receives it, it passes it onto literally this reality. And funny enough, because as above so below, and this is measurable, right? Energies, certain amazing energies are being also sent from the center of the earth. So the womb of the earth, if you like. I mean, earth is a sentient being. This is not a piece of rock. So there's a lot that we don't understand, we don't even comprehend. So we are bombarded by two streams of energies that's quantifiable. Physicists can literally tell you about it, because they have been picking up on this energy, and they've been claiming that something is truly going on. They cannot explain it. They don't even have the measurement devices to fully capture and represent that energy, because it's of the scale. It's been exponentially growing ever since 2017, and this energy specifically, this is the original energy compatible with our DNA to activate our DNA. However, this is not unfortunately as simple as us bathing in the sun, because there is that alchemical process that needs to be activated in a woman. So literally, the woman as the holder of a holy grail, the woman as the bearer of the chalice, right? She needs to receive these energies, because energy, that's just an energy. It's going to disperse unless it is received and materialized into this reality. This is the true meaning of the end of the world and the age of Aquarius. Age of Aquarius, the woman holding the chalice, pouring the water of life, materialized light From what? Well, from the from the light that's coming down, from that energy, that potential that needs to be captured and materialized. So the news are great, but the attention is being, you know, this is why, I mean, look at the agenda, right? Our attention is constantly grasped, like, if not by one thing, then by another, and it's never ending. It's never ending, so that you will never get a break. That's the point.
Yeah, fascinating. No, not fascinating. I'm just, I don't know the right word. Why you know, like this advanced race or the fall of the gods, aren't they going to try and like hold on to their power?
Well, they tried to hold on to their power, and they have tried to hold on to their power, and they did, but they cannot prevent these natural cosmic cycles from occurring. The result of these natural cosmic cycles is that the energy that's being pumped into this realm is a very high vibrational energy. This energy, even by itself, is causing, as you know, glitches in the matrix. This energy is dissolving the very fabric of the matrix, but it is not, you know, this is not, we shouldn't just wait for this energy to do everything by itself, because it's not designed like that. There is an element that we have to contribute as well. So in a context of you know, isn't there going to be a retribution, right, for all this going down from them and them holding on to their power? They cannot sustain this, and they cannot stand this energy. They have left. Those other races, especially the top ones, okay, because this is not just one race, and this is not just sort of one caste, if you like. There are different castes, there are different levels. This is why when you look to Egypt, they kind of look in a certain way, and then when you look to Sumeria and you look into the creation myth, the creation myth mentions different races. It talks about the Anunnaki, it talks about the Kingu. So we have sort of different races showing up there. And there is a hierarchy, because this is a masculine path, so there is a very strict hierarchy. The top guys, and you know, pretty much along the spectrum, they've gone because they cannot sustain, they cannot withhold this energy. They just cannot be here with this kind of influx of energies. So the ones that maybe still kind of hung around are the lowest. These are the, you know, these are the kind of post mailbox boy, you know. And of course, what they've left is they've left still these bloodlines, those families that are represented by the sort of humans, right, or human-like looking. But even those, and you know that how much ridiculousness, how much cloning is going on, how much, you know, replacement with some actors or with some sort of whatever doubles. Why? Because they cannot stand this energy anymore. So the truth is, you know, they're not trying to fight the energy, because that's a lost battle. That's not going to happen. They cannot do that. What they can do, and what they've been trying to do, is they can make sure that this energy is not received. And how do they do that? By making sure that your DNA is not intact, and we know how that's been done. And second, they want to make sure that you don't even think about it, right? You don't know about it, you don't think about it, and you're busy with something else. You continue to be busy with mind-based concept, new age, religions, AI, and you know, all that. Look at what a strong campaign is being pumped into the world for us to sort of follow the AI path, right? The technology, the AI, that's the mind. They love the mind, because that's the only place that they can play. Because they don't understand the heart, they don't understand the emotions, they don't understand the feelings. This is why I said last time that we take for granted, all of us would love to have all these third eye abilities and all those kind of weird tricks, right? But the funny thing is that that's not where the edge is what they are jealous of in us is the feeling function, is the heart, is the womb, is the creation. That's why they hijacked our creation. They're using us women for their own creation. That's what they are jealous of. Things that we take for granted are actually our biggest edge.
Yeah. So it's like when I held Elsie, my granddaughter, in my arms, that instant whelm of love for her.
Yeah.
That's what they're jealous of. That's what comes natural to us. And that's what we need to cherish. And listening to you, like they departed and it's left the dregs who are kind of like clinging on, aren't they? Like you said, to keep us down that road of the celebrities and everything else you said, that, you know, like, because they're desperate, aren't they? It's
Yeah.
almost like the big guys have gone and the little school kiddie, no, I'm not going to insult school kiddies, but the little dregs of them
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
still trying to hold on to that power. So we've spoken about in the past how like the new age is all about honoring the moon, so we should like turn our back to the moon. You know, whenever I listen to you, Ola, I'm like, I get it now. I get it. And I'm not going to try and sum it up. Let's move on because you just eloquently do it. So we spoke about in the last video about how we should honor honor and nurture, you know, and listen to our gut feeling and our womb and our heart. But one of the new age things that has really struck me is like, yeah, it's a trap, isn't it? You know, I was just right. Did we make a soul agreement to come
Right.
here and have, you know, or did I mention that? Oh, because we talked before.
In a context of relationship, I think you mentioned
Yes.
that. Yeah, that's part of the matrix illusion. This is part of the lie. So we do not have any contracts to be fulfilled with each other, or you know, that I need to do this, because remember that after every contract is always the narrative of karma, and what if you don't fulfill, where there's going to be consequences, and sort of not doing, that's karma, right? And you know where I stand on karma. Karma is a concept of the matrix, not just a concept, it's a law of the matrix. Meaning, if this is the law of Maya, of what reality, if you sign up to the matrix reality, then it comes with karma, it comes with contracts. But you know, it doesn't even make sense on a, even if we apply some logic to it, because why am I supposed to be bounded by some contract that I am not consciously aware of? And you know, mind you, there is a lot of narratives and explanations that have been presented by New Age that are plausible, and people have jumped on the bandwagon. Amongst them, you know, that suffering is the path to growth. I
Yeah.
mean, this is probably our favorite, right? Because we don't want to believe that all our suffering is absolutely for no good reason. So we need to have some noble explanation, right? Some kind of noble reason, and of course, that noble reason is growth. So if you are exposed to that, you're gonna grow. And if you made the contract, then it needs to happen, and it's your soul that chose it. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. These are very new agey, and mind you, probably some people know that I also work with astrology on purpose, because we absolutely have to debunk some lies, and we have to show those absolute nonsensical sort of loss and ideas pushed upon us, which are really not serving anyone. No one, you know, our free will has been hijacked. It is hijacked on the level of the subconscious. What we perceive as free will to a very large extent, and especially people who are on a total autopilot, are effectively that which is predetermined by influences at birth. And that's, we're talking about the zodiac, right? So what you perceive is to be your free will is actually a result of your subconscious choices or subconscious preferences, which stem from this mechanism. So there is not much leeway here in terms of, you know, where is it that we come? Where is it that our true choices come in? So yeah, so the narrative of contracts, so that you live your life according to a certain script. Seriously? I don't want to live to any certain script. Why can't I have what I want when I want it? Oh, because, you know, because it's like this. You probably don't know how to manifest. You don't know how to, you know, that's just such a, I'm so sorry. This is me not being prepared, clearly.
So you know, a quick question. You know, when we come into this reality, do we then with the astrology, do we take up, is, you know how astrology can say to you, like it's got some good bits where it can say your potential. Are we coming in with the energy and then picking up, obviously on astrology, numerology, are we picking up on that, or and then we come and land in this world with that imprint of, like, say you're born a Taurian, so you've got all these Taurian traits and so forth. Is that
So the way it seems to work, based on the Gnostic texts, based on the ancient scripture, the Vedic, etc., is that when a soul incarnates, wants to incarnate, okay, and let me explain this mechanism, because this is critical to understand astrology truly. When the soul wants to incarnate, whether it's coming from, as I say, outside of the firmament, or whether it's coming from the reincarnation cycle under the dome, yeah, so it's basically, it's looping up, being tossed between heaven and earth indefinitely, as hermetic texts tell us. Whichever way it's coming in, let's imagine that it kind of looks like border control. So you coming in, and there is a matrix controller. There's basically an entity, yeah, at that kind of level, a matrix controller, which is kind of asking you for your passport. And your passport is literally something that describes your soul at the soul level. Like, why are you coming here? Who are you? What are your sort of specialties, or whatever? What do you represent? Maybe where you came from. That kind of information. And the matrix controller looks at that and sort of assesses how much of a threat are you gonna be. And especially those that are coming here, because that is how it works. You know, there are those that are coming back here very specifically at this time. They've been waiting for that. They've been waiting for that to come at this time. And I know that New Age also uses that narrative, right? About the sort of the chosen, or whatever, the 144,000 and whatnot, coming in here on a mission. But yeah, some of that is valid, but the whole narrative hijacked. So when a soul is coming in, and especially the ones that are more advanced, the ones that are coming here, you know, even the Cathar's prophecy, yeah, if you look to the Cathar's prophecy, it says that the good people will return again. You have to read between the lines. They were talking specifically that they're going to be reincarnating. So they coming, they want not just them, but, you know, the Cathars, highly advanced society back from the medieval ages. How is that, right? Feminine alchemy, they were directly practicing that. So there is this element of recognizing by the matrix, because they do not have the right to reject you. They do not have the right to say, no, you cannot come in. It's a little bit like, you know, like kind of going to a party, right? You want to go to a party, okay, you can come in, but you have to play by our rules. And the act of applying our rules, the matrix rules, is when you get whatever is in your passport, you get additional code to it. That's the matrix code, and that's later the whole landscape of that gets represented in your astrology, numerology, because everything becomes translated into kind of like a binary language, you know, like in a computer. That's why astrology, numerology, all of this is mathematic based, symbology, right? Because this is like an AI language. This is artificial intelligence language, like in a computer. So that what you hold in your astrology, in your chart, in your numerology, this is why they are all connected to each other, because this is one and the same. Not the whole thing is a code of the matrix, but it is a representation of the code of the matrix, which is trying to block your natural soul expression. But there are elements, very few and very specific, in the chart or in numerology, which talk about what you've come on a soul level. So it talks about that soul sort of expression, if you like. But very often, most astrologers, you know, remember one thing, and I say that to everybody: you will never get the full truth about yourself or whatever from another person, because they're gonna hit the ceiling. And the question is, where is that ceiling that they have? Is it because they don't know even matrix exists? Is it because they don't know the context of what's happening? So you know, you have to understand that whoever is doing your interpretation, if they are not aware that we are living in a controlled environment, that we are living in a matrix, that there is a firmament, and that has nothing to do with the earth being flat, round, or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just the question of this space being enclosed. It's like an enclosure, and the fact that the zodiac is part of this control mechanism, then you know, you're gonna have to understand what kind of quality are you gonna be getting. Yeah, is that really the truth that you're gonna be getting about yourself? So the astrology, numerology represents effectively something about you. Most of that, because the chart in itself is neither bad nor good, just like a mathematical equation. It just is. But you have to understand the parameters within that equation. If you don't understand, then you don't know what you're dealing with. And some of those parameters are the matrix trying to block you, and some of those parameters, not many, very few, but you have to know which they are the soul. So then this is about, you know, what do we do with this, right? And that's what I do, for example, in my readings. But this is how it works. So it's not that you know, there is some celestial effect on you, and you are being guided by this planet or that planet because you are a Taurus or a Libra. No, I'm a human, and I should have full expression, but I don't. Why? Because of the fact that the planets and the matrix sort of construct is using the wave technology, right? It's streaming certain frequencies upon our third eye, upon the receiver. So it's like an antenna and a receiver. And it is literally applying certain experience for you, which is later playing out as so-called life. So the funny thing is that it really, excuse me, it really doesn't matter if somebody believes in astrology or in numerology or whatever. It doesn't matter. It still applies to everybody. That's just a way of interpretation. But the overall mechanism applies to everybody, right? It has applied. Now things are slightly kind of changing because we are at this end of the world and the matrix overall is glitching, right? So something's going on. But here comes the problem. We are the ones that are extending its influence by buying into these concepts, by buying into the lies that the matrix is putting in front of us, by the fact that, you know, there's still a very big group of people who continue to worship the moon. Most of the astrologers will be, you know, happily telling you to set your intentions at new moon and to harvest at full moon and all that nonsense, continuing to feed the beast.
Wow, brilliant. Thank you. it just struck my memory when I was listening to you talk. One of the new age things that also, because it's all about debunking the new age, is like we are all one, and that we are a spark of God. Interesting, they say God, and we're here to have this experience, and then we all go back to God and become one again. Is that?
Well, in feminine alchemy teachings, the wisdom of the women very clearly talks about individuality.
Oh, yes.
It talks about individuality, and it talks about not just individuality, but it actually very clearly states, and this might surprise some, okay, this might be surprising, but it's very clearly states that it doesn't really matter if we do things in groups. There is no benefit of the more the merrier. Individual is where it happens. It's not like 10 is better than 1. In 10 you still have every single one. So you see, that's the thing. It's a totally different view, and it's kind of it's facilitating a bit of a hive mentality, right? Like, do not, first of all, get rid of the ego, so you do not have any individuality, and then, you know, join the party, join the tribe, right? We are all one. Nobody sticks out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the global agenda anyway, right? It's the hive, the
Oh,
hive mind.
you're right, Ola, you're right. Oh gosh, another thing came to me. Oh, oh, bear with me one moment.
I think that, you know, also in the context of the sort of individuality, in the context of alchemy, this is the critical part for every woman to understand, that, you know, those processes, they are individual, and literally, it's almost like one is the same as the sum of many. So when a woman does certain things within herself, there is a natural ripple effect that goes on and affects others. That's the true meaning of sisterhood, because sisterhood is also misunderstood. You know, the new age overtook sisterhood, the notion of sisterhood, or maybe the true definition of sisterhood, and they sort of turned it into some kind of women's circles and some kind of, you know, moon circles. And I'm not saying that women should not get together if that's what they like to do. Of course, get together, maybe even, you know, go to the nature together and maybe do other things together, no problem. But that doesn't mean that has any more power or any more context or meaning than every woman doing her individual thing. That is the most powerful thing. And the sisterhood, the true meaning and the true origin of the sisterhood is not about women coming together, being, you know, in a circle, doing some weird things together. No, the true meaning of sisterhood is connection with all the female or feminine representatives across everywhere, across the universe, the connection through the womb. That's the sisterhood, which means that if I undergo a certain process, and perhaps I undergo a journey, an alchemical journey, and something for me opens up, or I have reached some, let's say some realization about something, or perhaps something activated in me, a ripple effect, because my womb is connected to every single womb, not just women, every single feminine representatives across in this world and beyond this world. The ripple effect touches on every single other of my sisters. That's the sisterhood.
They mention that in the new age, don't they? Whenever they term it as like, whenever we become more enlightened, it raises the frequency of the planet, isn't it? So the new age has taken slight truths and stretched them and made them sound.
Yeah, but you see, this whole notion of raises the consciousness of the planet.
Yeah, that's a very new agey one,
what
isn't
does
it?
that mean? Yeah, but what does that mean, right? Because
Sounds good.
first of all, the new age doesn't talk about alchemy.
No.
So what does it mean to raise consciousness? Because that sounds very masculine to me. Because I'm not talking about raising consciousness, I'm talking about connecting to the womb, which is not
Yeah.
here, it's down there.
Yeah.
Connecting to the womb and sending a ripple effect on other women, literally in a context where, you know, if there is still in those women an element of servitude or sacrifice, that ripple effect, the fact that I, let's say, overcome that, it's going to come as an influence on their womb, so that they liberate as well. It has nothing to do with consciousness, because
No,
consciousness
liberate.
kind of sounds a bit like the masculine line.
Yes. I like that. Liberate, set free the women again, isn't it?
That's what
From
it is about. That's what's needed.
yes.
That's what's needed, because a woman, this is, you see, this is why I talked about the desert. A woman, in order to reactivate, reconnect with her alchemy, she needs to be free.
Free.
And free, that word is so underrated. What does that mean, to be free? Well, free on many levels, not just free as in you do not have a tyrannical partner or controlling or anything like that. Not free as in you stopped sacrificing yourself and stopped pleasing everybody and stopped, you know, being perfect and setting certain expectations upon yourself and running around and keeping everyone happy, but free also in a context of concepts, religion, any religion, spiritual development. What development? What the development? That's mind-based concepts. That's new age. Free from new age, free from being in your head, as in being in your mind, being in that, because that's a masculine element. You know, women, I've noticed as well that, you know, we can be talking about the alchemy so much, but then it's still very difficult for women to leave that mind sort of space. They still will be talking about concepts, about, you know, the workshops and development, and it's very difficult to step outside of that and understand that you already have all you need. Like whenever you need to catch yourself or check yourself, have you gone to the new age or have you gone into the mind space? Ask yourself, you know, how, whatever you're considering, whatever you are about to entertain, ask yourself, would that be something that I could think a Native American 200 years ago, would they be doing that? Or, you know, would that be something that Mary Magdalena would be doing? And of course, you know, you may not have exactly the answers, right? But that kind of gives a little bit, right? I mean, Native Americans did not attend spiritual development workshops, and they were, you know, much more out there with everything than anyone in the Western world currently.
That's beautiful, Ola. That really is, you know, to ask ourselves, would the Native American women have done this? It kind of like,
Right.
because I keep getting this image of these women, like where they go to these yoga things and they're all dancing and shaking and like
Yeah,
screaming and doing the
exactly.
bit. And I was just thinking, would a Native American do that? Oh, no, that is a very
Yeah,
powerful thing to
that's a very
remember.
easy, you know,
Yeah,
this is really easy thing, because, you know, there's all those methods, concepts, techniques, schools, everything
yeah.
right out there. You know, you can supposedly go to some sort of dancing to release your emotions, so you can do this and you can do, and everything is so mind driven. Because you see, with alchemy, remember what I said, right? Please do understand what I mean when I say that there's an energy that's coming in, that's activating your DNA. In that DNA, you have, when it's activating your DNA, I'm not speaking like one of the new age, you know, zealots. I'm speaking as the dormant strands of DNA considered junk by science, by medicine. They're not junk. They contain certain information about your natural abilities, about your natural sort of potential, and that is coming back on stream if you can really bring it in. What's written in there? is everything naturally happening for you without any need for healing, without any need for development, because it's all already there. So alchemy doesn't require development. Alchemy doesn't require us to practice any weird, mostly male-based practices. Because remember that, you know, yoga, and I'm going to upset a lot of people, but I'm going to say it anyway. Yoga, meditation, fasting, many other, you know, those kind of practices, these are male-based practices. This is masculine line. This is males 1,000 years ago observing alchemical women doing a journey, in an alchemical journey, which is not a meditation, it's an alchemical journey, and thinking, okay, she's doing this, we're gonna mimic that. She's doing this and she's getting these results, we're gonna mimic that. So if we're gonna mimic that, hopefully we're gonna get the same results. So it really, it's such a sad thing to right now in the current era watch how many of us are totally misled, especially women, engaging in heavily masculine line practices, which originally were mimicking natural feminine practices, instead of bypassing, instead of, you know, just hopping over all this nonsense back to their essence. Because unfortunately, if you continue to engage in those practices, in these mind-based masculine kind of, you know, practices, you're still blocking your alchemy, because you're stepping into you're again back in your mind. That's where Matrix wants you. That's where Matrix wants you. I mean, think about it. So many, even in the last 4 years, right? Wherever we were close to the truth, we were censored. Yeah, we were removed from Facebook. We were removed from YouTube. So, and of course, there is an element of controlled opposition and sort of things being shown in a certain way to look like it's true when it's not. It's just a red herring. But on a grand scale, whenever you're getting close to the truth, you get silenced. You get, you know, you do not have the coverage. You do not your videos don't sort of, you know, you do not have the coverage of several 100,000 subscribers. But what happened with, you know, any new agey kind of concept? It's heavily promoted and it's okay out there.
Yes, I've noticed that. I have really noticed that. So again, I keep getting this image of this Native American lady, and what did they do? They just lived, didn't they?
Yeah, they just lived while appreciating and still knowing, right, that full spectrum of feminine natural capabilities. We are currently probably aware in a sort of global context, probably of, you know, this much of those abilities, right? I mean, giving birth to children, menstruating, although most women don't even know how to menstruate, because there is an element, you see, the of course, all women menstruate, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, are you able to use that process to truly cleanse yourself? And by that, I mean all the trauma, all the accumulated energy that you shouldn't be storing in your body, that is later going to make you sick, any kind of emotions that you might have accumulated, anything from your partner. Because a woman has the womb, the woman has the portal, the man doesn't. So he's gonna dump whatever his stuff, he's gonna dump it on you. That's how it works. And that's a beautiful thing, because when women used to know how to channel that, how to cleanse every month, that's what they were offering to a man. A man would cleanse through a woman. And since you like the Native American comparison, let me tell you more. The sweat lodges, yeah? Do you think they were originally used by women? No. Why would a woman go to a sweat lodge in which you cleanse, in which you sort of remove into the womb of the earth mother whatever doesn't belong, right? These were for men. These were for
Ah,
men. Yeah, in the original
yeah.
tradition, that was for men. And now we have all these shamans, right? I'm not talking the real ones, I'm talking the ones that just call themselves that. And what do? They offer all sorts of ceremonies and whatnot without even realizing, without even knowing the true design, the true meaning of those things, and how did that really operate, and what was the purpose of that, and of course without having any understanding of a woman's design, of a woman's body, of a woman's capacities. And you see, this is why women back in the day, why that reverence for a feminine, why was it so obvious? Because, well, because when a man was truly aware of what he needs the woman for, and it wasn't just that, it wasn't just to cleanse and to be able to sort of offload all of his emotional baggage, etc., etc. It wasn't just that, it was also the fact that a woman would be the vehicle, she would be the medium for a man to sort of be able to create, to be able to get in his life what he needs to get. It was going through her, it wasn't going through him. Yeah, he has two hands to build things, etc., but the prosperity around it, the abundance around it, the fact of making it happen, and for things to be flowing, for life to be growing, it was going through a woman. This is why back in the day every king would need to have a consort,
Right.
because otherwise the land would have been barren,
Of course.
everything
The
would have died.
the fairy tales tell of that, doesn't
Absolutely,
it?
the fairy tales, absolutely. And you know, and these queens, right, they had to be virgins, not
Yes,
physically, it wasn't about physically. Virgin, maiden is the first alchemical aspect.
of
I
course.
would probably argue that it is, I'm not gonna give them sort of different importance, because it's three aspects that we consider in alchemy: maiden, creator, mother, and the witch. They are all important, they all participate in alchemy, you cannot divorce one from the other. However, I would argue that there is a certain level of perhaps a domino effect, which is you're just not going to have any potency within your creator aspect or within the witch aspect if the maiden aspect is not doing its job. So every queen, every consort would have to be a virgin alchemically, because that aspect is feeding the other aspects, and that aspect is the one responsible for activation of your DNA strands so that you even have that capacity.
Wow.
That's how it worked.
Wow. Just very quick, can you explain a little bit about like how to offload that? How would she through the menstrual period? And if you're not having a menstrual period anymore, how did they offload all their emotions? Is it by allowing the blood to go back into the land? How did they?
It's again, you see, when we start asking the how, we're engaging the mind, we assuming that we have to make some
Yeah,
intentions,
yeah.
right? Or maybe we have to even pray to whom. So again, when a woman is operating from her alchemy, this is a natural part of the process.
Mm,
It's a
naturally.
natural part of the process.
Mm,
So of course, you know, women would use some of that blood, and they would pour it onto the ground, and that was to keep the connection with the underworld, because the blood would have sort of soaked up, right,
yeah.
soaked in, and this is about keeping the connection. But in terms of that cleansing aspect, in terms of being the portal to receive other energies and to be able to sort of process them out, that was a natural alchemical process.
Gotcha.
Just like, you know, right, the best comparison I could offer is, right now none of us is sitting there making you know, affirmations in order to get our menstruation, right? It's gonna come anyway, and none of us is sitting here with an intention to get her period. Well, it's gonna come anyway. So why? Because that level of alchemy has been kept. um or should I say allowed. Yeah, this is unfortunately part of the moon control as well.
And I suppose answer to my question is just is learning, not learning because that's in your mind again, being aware that that's what we are able to do, isn't it?
Yeah, it's that, but also, you know, if you kind of look into a little bit into those three aspects, because again, this is not about making an intention, and this is not
No,
about meditating about it. It is about how you live your life. There are certain behaviors, such as, you know, stepping into the masculine, being sacrificing yourself, you know, being a perfectionist, trying to prove to everybody that, you know, you're gonna show them all because now you're so independent, etc., etc. So women sort of engaging in certain behaviors, religion, any kind of development paths, like spiritual kind of development, rituals, some weird rituals. I mean, I see women, oh, she has an altar, she has this, she has that. The altar is your body. That's the altar.
yeah,
The Holy Grail is inside of you, not outside. So were you gonna pray as well? Like what you praying to exactly? So it's you know, there's a lot of mind concepts which are so ingrained in us. We don't even see when we are sort of engaging in certain behaviors that are, you know, seemingly perhaps just with no consequence, right? And benevolent. That's how far we have been driven out of that element. Isn't that sad?
very.
But yeah, it's literally going back to ourselves, but also as simple as stopping certain behaviors, you know. Sacrifice. We have been conditioned that a woman, to be a good mother, she needs to sacrifice. That's part of the conditioning to stop you from, guess what, activating your alchemical creator / mother aspect. Sacrificing religion, you know, church, any religion, doesn't matter. And I don't care if you know, even those that say, well, you know, I don't go to church, but, you know, but there is a God. Come on, just come on. So I would say unpacking what is blocking each of these three alchemical aspects. And these are behavioral things. These are conditioning and behavioral things. And when you touch that, because this is why it's called alchemy and not chemistry, because it is literally, it is a connection between our physical body, our emotional body, our spiritual body. So the emotional body is very important because it's like a portal. It's like a portal. So if you are, you know, feeling not free, you don't have the freedom, you are tired, you're frustrated, you're angry, you're bitter, you feel like you constantly are, you know, doing more than you should, etc. That emotional body is clearly showing that, well, this is not you're not in a feminine element. You've been driven out of that feminine element. And please do not go to TikTok and listen to them on TikTok about the, you know, the feminine and the dark feminine and all that nonsense. That's another deception. We're talking about the feminine element, which is, you know, a woman who is fully aware that she's the holder of a holy grail. So she doesn't have to prove herself. She doesn't have to win anyone's acceptance or anyone's love, or she doesn't have to prove that she's useful and that she's efficient and that she can take care of everything. And you know, she doesn't have to sacrifice. She doesn't have to make choices against her own wishes and will, because she knows who she is. She's a holder of a holy grail. And if you really know what that means, then you know what to use it for.
Wow.
And you're the access point for any man, not for any, but for the man. So it's this way around. That's why you're important, because you are the one who has something that they don't. And it's not sex, it's the holy grail.
Wow.
Because they're the access for them to certain things in life happens through a woman. This is where the saying, behind every successful man stands a woman, That's the true origin of that saying. It's not about the woman who, you know, irons his shirt and makes him dinner every day. No, that's not what it means. It means that woman alchemizes. She alchemizes using her womb, using the blood, not by intention. None of that is happening by intention. It happens naturally once alchemy is activated, once there is a certain level of alchemy. This is why, you know, women who are living in, who remain calm, in balance, happy, they don't, you know, they don't push, they're not control freaks, they're not trying to sort of, you know, prove themselves to anyone, they're not trying to sacrifice, they're not the one running around kind of always tired and everything. These are the women that men are so attracted to, because that's on the unconscious level, he knows what he's looking for, and it's not sex.
Wow. Ola, you've done it again. You've done it again. Every time I listen to you, I'm like, I was going to ask you about the pyramids, but I think I just thank you. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, and I hope that it made sense. I'm sure it somehow on some level probably was resonating with maybe at least one person. So hopefully it made sense. But yeah, just, you know, what I think sometimes to myself is, if I didn't have internet, if I didn't have a phone, I wouldn't know. I just wouldn't know about affirmations. I just wouldn't know about any of those concepts. I wouldn't know about 5D. I wouldn't know about, you know, rapture. I just wouldn't know, and I would still live. So ask yourself, do you really believe in those things, or have you been conditioned? Have you been exposed? Have you been fed certain narrative, and it was plausible, it was interesting, so you jump on it? Because, you know, with the feminine alchemy, this is not a narrative, this is not a concept. Let's call it being a woman in its full capacity. This is not a concept I'm trying to push on anyone. I'm just trying to explain to every single woman that our capacity as a woman, with the womb, with the monthly blood, with how we are literally designed, happens to extend well beyond what we think it does. And it used to be something that was recognized and was well known in the Cathar society back in the Jesus time and before, and men knew very well what women truly represented, and that there were certain things that men could not absolutely ever access without a woman. So they knew that they needed to respect, they knew that they needed to you know, place a woman at a sort of at a certain space in their life, and in a sort of context of society. Guess what? This is why patriarchy was ushered in, to drive women out of that space, so that they could have taken the control. They could have kept us where they wanted us, so that they could have used us to create the reality that, guess what, this world looks the way it does.
Yes.
But we have the capacity to create heaven on earth.
Yes.
Golden age.
Yes. That answered my question, because I wrote down, do they talk about life? How can it be like? And you've just answered that question of mine. You know, oh, Ola, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. Oh, if anyone stayed with us until now, amazing.
Yes, I said, oh, we'll just do it for an hour. We'll be really quick. I'm going to bullet point it, and then it just organically grows. And one of the things that just sticks in my mind, apart from the Native American lady, I mean, it could be any woman all over the world, is just get out of our headspace and allow this process, this what's happening in the cosmos, you know, activating our DNA, activating and all the knowledge and all the wisdom and who we truly
Absolutely.
are is
Yeah.
in us, and not get distracted by what's going on outside. You know, like, just go and grow roses. That's what I say. Just go and grow roses. Just be
Absolutely.
a
Yeah.
woman.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And a man, just be a man.
And you know, I think that we kind of have to we have to navigate that path, because this path is about women, as it happens to be in the apocalypse. It's a woman who takes the moon under her feet. So we kind of we have to do what we have to do, regardless of what the men are doing or not. But remember, always remember that back in the day, it was always a woman. That it's a woman. And even in the Native American sayings, a woman leads a man to his soul. We have so much power, in a good way. This is not about manipulation. This is about the fact that we are spiritually connected in a way that men are not. So we are the one really to facilitate this process. This is not about women being leaders, because that's again the masculine. Yeah, this is not about competition, none of that. Spiritually, a woman leads always, and she leads him to his soul. So in this process, it is us to take that lead, and into our own alchemy, and they will come after us, because they unconsciously they know that this is the only path for them. They will come. But a woman, when a woman becomes alchemical, she sets the game. She sort of sets the scene, if you like. And the man will come.
And then that ripples out, that sets the other women free.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can't see, because I'm looking at my camera and I look quite I got tears in my eyes, Ola. I got tears in my eyes. You're just amazing, phenomenal. What you share is just
This
it.
is this is you know this is women. This is women wisdom. This is in every single one of us. In every single one of us. This is nothing, honestly, this is nothing special in me or about me. I might have been exposed to certain things. I was able to synthesize and perhaps present them right now to you. But every single one of us.
I
Every
know,
single one of us.
I know, but you've turned up at the right time, to brave enough to turn up at the right time and show yourself to the world, and you're reminding us all, we all got that capability to remind other people. And I personally feel, I have to stop saying thinking, but personally, I needed your message tonight. I really needed that reminder. So thank you.
I think, I think we all need to remember that. We all need to remember that, because all of us, we may know those things, but all of us, sooner or later, or we kind of we get pulled into that matrixy world, right? And that's just how it is. But it is definitely something to
Humbling.
remember for every single one of us. Perhaps this is the most important thing in every single one of us lives. Perhaps that's the I get ladies coming to me for a life purpose and mission and calling reading. And if I may give you a reading right now, the reading is step into your alchemy. That's your highest purpose, if you are born right now, because that's the time.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone who stopped to the end. Thank you for allowing me to have this awesome chat. Also, I could hug the guys who I listened to their very first video that introduced me to you, but thank you, because everyone just showing up and listening. Thank you. You're part of this beautiful weaving of coming back together. So on that note, lots of love from Melton Mowbray, where proud Nana Jen to little Elsie, and I'll hand it over to you, Olive, to say goodnight.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for staying with us up until now, and a big warm hug and good night from north of Norway.
Lovely. And as always, I'll have the details how you can contact Olaf via our website, so you can see the things that Ola offers and connect with her, and hopefully one day you will be in Norway and get to see that beautiful country and meet the beautiful Ola. So good night and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
And stop.